to the Wrestling Roundup, your weekly dose of all things wrestling, from epic showdowns to backstage drama. We've got you covered. So let's dive into the ring. I'm your host, Jay, and I'm here with my fellow co-host, Dan.
Good day, Jay.
How you doing?
Good. We got a special episode tonight.
Yes, sir. We have a special guest referee tonight for this episode this afternoon. And she has been with NCG. She has been with TNA. She has been with Lucha Libre and Labs. She has been with Pro Wrestling King, as well as Rocky Mountain Pro. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Nope. It's the one and only Miss Alice Lane.
That's it.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Whoop, whoop. Top of the world.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. Holly Jolly, it's the time of year. It's kind of in the middle of each, so
that's right.
Just taking it all in.
Good.
First guest of the new year.
Yep, your first.
Yes.
Many firsts tonight. So
I'm so excited. Hey, this is my first podcast. So again, many firsts tonight.
All right, here we go. So, Dan, go ahead. I'm going to let you get started.
First podcast of 25. Perfect.
Yes, sir.
First female that we've had on the podcast. First referee we've had on the podcast.
That's right.
It's her first podcast.
I know.
It's just...
It's the Alice Lane Hour.
It
or more.
Kicking off the new year, right.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm going to let you go with your first question.
All right. Well, the first is, and I've had the pleasure of talking to you already. So, but you started out in Rocky Mountain. How did that come? How did it get that you wanted to be a referee? That was even an interest of yours?
Well, I actually got into wrestling really late in life. It wasn't something I grew up watching. My dad's a preacher, so it wasn't really top. You know what? He likes it now. But growing up, that I even knew about. I knew I liked Sting. I knew he had really cool face paint. I was like, whatever he does is really cool. But that was about it. So I ended up dating a guy who was a big fan, and I'm really into UFC and martial arts. And he was like, I think you would like wrestling. I was like, I think we'll just keep watching fights. These are real. And he's like, I'm telling you. And so then I watched Monday Night Raw. I don't know how that came about. I don't know if I lost the bet. Thank goodness. But I watched Monday Night Raw. Funkasaurus came out. Funkadactyls were out. It was like, what is this? And so the whole entire show was just hooked. And then I just started watching it, read about it, started doing just research because I was a fan. And I was like, what am I missed? And it was like, there's things in one episode where it was like, oh, I'm going to watch this, with this. I was like, well, I don't know. So I just started watching and making stuff out. And I ended up moving to Colorado. And I saw that there was a wrestling school. And I was like, no, I don't want to wrestle and get hurt because they are tough. I'm tough, not tough. So how else can I get on? And I was a referee. She's in the corner, he's in the corner, whatever. But you're still in the action. You're still a very vital part of the entire thing. So I was like, let's try it. So I walked up to Pro, introduced myself to Matt Eaton, and I was like, hey, I'd like to be a referee. So I started going to training, and they got me into some matches, and here we are. So
I knew that there was wrestling schools, but I did not know that that they actually had classes for the referees, which just makes sense. But I'm not sure where we thought that referees were trained. They just come out of the crowd or what. But yeah, that's very interesting that you actually go to a wrestling school, which makes sense. So that you become part of that storyline, you know what you're doing and what you're looking for. There's so much to the referee now, honestly, since we've been pursuing you to be on the show, is looking up stuff because before the referee, he came out, he got in the ring, and pretty much he counted 3 or he counted the guy out for 10. So
that was it. So how long?
It's not it.
No.
So was that in 2022 when you got your start?
Oh, yes. That would have been Thanksgiving 2022. I signed up to start training. And then February of 2023, I refereed my first match.
And your first match was between who?
Atiba and Balaam Link at Rocky Mountain Pro.
Oh, nice. Nice.
That's a special one.
So what was that like the very first time you got in there? You got a crowd there and you've got two going to be professional wrestlers in there. They know their stuff, but what was that for you? What was the feeling of you being in there with them?
Well, for me, it was more of having a crowd because I had been told it kind of depends what kind of show you go to. Well, we went to Bierstadt, which was a beer house, and there was a ton of people. I was like, oh, okay, well, this is one of them small boys. So I found it was easier to actually talk to the guys in there and like my nerves, but it was a lot. Like, it was very overwhelming to have that people watching me for my very first time inside the ring. So it was a lot of emotions. Guys did a great job. They're like, hey, just kind of move here. Or, hey, just don't forget this. Hey, you're good. Like, so it was a lot of emotions, but overall it was just it was a good sense of overwhelming, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and that's kind of reminds me of when my idol growing up was always Animal from the Road Warriors. When I met him, I'm not even sure what I talked to him about. And I'm pretty sure I might have passed out a couple times. So it's just those nerves of, my God, like this is actually happening.
Yes, absolutely. I just looked around the ring and I was like, yeah, this is it. I like this.
Yeah.
This is it.
That's for you. So have you ever been in a match where things seem to go a little bit off the rails? Like, okay, say some of the participants decided to get a little too serious, too physical, and then things started to veer off script. And how did you deal with that?
So I personally haven't had myself in a match where that has happened, but I've been in Gorilla when that has happened.
Okay.
And that kind of plays out where they're going to do what they're going to do in the ring, and then they're going to have to handle that when they get back to Gorilla.
Right.
So the referee, I heard like messages that were being passed and those types of things. The referee was doing their job of saying, hey guys, lighten up, or hey, you're not doing what they called for in the back, or whatever the message was. And as long as we're relaying that, that is all that we can do. And then when they get back to Gorilla, we will probably stand there initially. The agent will be like, thank you for the match. We'll walk away, and then they will have that conversation. So that's another good thing about being a ref is we're very protected as long as we're doing what we're supposed to do. So if we're given things to do and we execute them, and then the outcome is not what should have happened, nothing we can do about that. And now they have something else that they have to go answer to. So
That makes perfect sense.
And then hope that they listen.
All right, fair enough.
So really the Gorilla position is talking to you through the match, making sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. The match is going the way they want it to. So the whole time you're getting communication from them in the back.
Yes. And safety-wise, I know if something's going on that they can't tell, because I'm right there. I'm with the wrestlers. I'm the first one to know what's going on. I'm the first one to be able to talk to them. So it's very vital that I might not be able to communicate back, but I've got certain things that I can look at the doc and be like, hey, not good. Or I can say, no, like, that they're just really good at selling. Like, give it a minute, And that's also been something for me to learn, like learning how people sell, because everybody sells differently. And so if I can tell how somebody really sells and I can see that slight adjustment, I can be like, oh, that's not normal. So then I can kind of go, but if they're really just trying to, like, some hurt, because, bumps don't feel good. I've taken bumps. They're not something that you're like, oh, I get on pillows. Let me get up and do it again. No, don't feel good.
Yeah.
So, like, that doesn't hurt. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So I have to allow that to process for them, for the fans, for everyone. And then I can jump in and do what I need if I need it. And if not, then, hey, that move was sick. What else we got? So. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for aspiring female referees?
Authority. That's the one thing I've been told since day one. Make sure you look like you're in charge. If you don't even believe you're in charge when you get in that ring, nobody else will. And being a female going in, especially with some big guys, they're going to be like, okay, what's she really going to bring up? Okay, well, I've got a lot backing me. You might not know my back. Like, you have to have this aura, this persona about you. Like, I've got probably a whole story about myself that I don't even know, but other people have formulated because of how I carry myself.
Right.
And when I'm in the ring, they're like, she probably does this in her spare time, or she, maybe. And you have to have that, like, I don't think really should be, she doesn't look like she's comfortable. Can't have that, like, not even from anybody.
Right.
So just that authority, and I guess confidence comes with that, but you can mask that with authority as well. Just go in there and know that you're in charge. Start that match, you in the match. They cannot.
That's right.
Oh.
So when you're in there and you've got, say, like you were saying, you get to know people's tells and people's bumps and what's normal for who would you say is your favorite person to have that you're refereeing their match because you know them that well that pretty much you know this is all good tonight?
That's a good one. I would probably say a few people at OVW. Because at Ohio Valley Wrestling, I've worked a lot of consecutive times there. So there's like a couple of girls there I work a lot, and Risk, Sophia Rose. I work a few people just multiple times that I kind of have an idea, not only the character, but how they're going to do a move, how they're going to receive a move, how their entrance is going to go, how their celebration at the end is going to go. Like, I just have that idea now. And so I feel like that enhances them because then I can take myself out of that position and allow them to do their thing and not have that ref in the shot all the time. Like, oh, I'm just trying to get this shot. Yeah, right, my bad. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's where I was saying, like, I've always noticed, even live, the referee comes in, then they start everything. The referee is gone, then the celebration. So if Alice Lane's coming out to the ring, not as a wrestler, as a referee, what would be your theme song that would bring you to that ring?
That's a good one. I like that.
We will rock you because I'm not coming by myself. Everybody's coming. And I would know how to play guitar, so I would have it in the ring for me so that I can play that little solo at the end, right?
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I like that answer.
I thought about you guys.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we noticed.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question would be, okay, you're in the ring. How do you stay focused? Because depending on the crowd size, so sometimes, like you said, it's harder to communicate with the wrestlers because there's smaller crowd. But when you're in a big situation, you have a large crowd. How do you stay focused and keep your composure?
So my thing is, I had no idea how it happened, but it just, like, that focus comes as soon as I get into the ring. It's like everything else is just a mumble. I hear it. I know there's noise, but I have no idea what that noise is because it's just so already honed in. And I think from the start at such a serious level helped me do that because I didn't come in just, oh, let's just see what this wrestling is about. And no, I came in knowing exactly what I wanted to do. And so that's just how I do things. And yeah, it seems to work out.
So far.
Yeah, just full speed ahead.
It just happens.
Yeah. So who have you met on the road? Because I know you do a lot where you do a lot of traveling, you do a lot of ring setup, ring takedown. You're there, start to finish, anything you can do to help. But who in the back scenes that we would know would be somebody that you would say that person has that same drive as you, that is just that person that you would confide in if you had an issue or whatever?
I mean, definitely Daniel Spencer comes to mind immediately, just because he's like my trainer, and so I kind of went to him when I came back to Indiana, because I live in Indiana now. I made that move from Colorado to Indiana. I was like, hey, I want to find someone trying to do the same thing, but our life is a little different than the rest. So when Daniel was like, hey, also training down to OVW, I realized he's trying to do things I'm doing. Hey, he looks how I want to look in the ring. Hey, he has these relationships with people outside of the ring that I want to have. They're not crazy. They're very respectful. And so it was one of those where he was always working. He was always doing the right things that I was like, stick with that. And so, I mean, he's just the first one that pops in my mind, but I truly have been lucky to like surround myself around by a lot of people that work the exact same way. It's amazing to see how different wrestling can be when you're at a promotion that everyone is just moving and working, and where everyone is just like oops and not really, they're just kind of waiting for the show to start.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, it's one thing that I can see a lot out of Daniel and a few other people that I work with at OVW and over at TNA.
And that's what we've talked about in the past, where you can have a skill, but if you're not willing to pass that skill on to others, then, I mean, I have to keep it to myself because I might lose my spot. No, you teach them so that maybe the next generation can come up and then they can pass on the information and knowledge they gain from you to, the up-and-comers on their way.
Well, and I've always thought of it as I don't want to ref a whole show by myself. I don't want to be the ref. I when I go up to a show, I like to hear that there's 2 or 3 other refs there. Because chances are, we've got 7 to 12 matches, depending what the motion is. I don't want to do 12 matches. The wrestlers don't have to do 12. So it's like one of those things I don't understand where you don't pass this, they'll take. No, you'll just all work really well together because you have a limited idea of how referees operate. And it's so much more fun as a team. Like that part is just so big to me. I just love everyone being on the same team, like inside the ring, outside the ring, it doesn't matter. And then that's just when it really works. It's when you really get to know the people because you're all on that level together. So, yeah, for sure.
When you're in the group like that, and we've discussed this on our show, is do you guys constantly find that the rules change in wrestling? Things now, one of the big differences was the old Hulk Hogan used to be three times the arm got brought up, dropped, and now it's 1 time. So do you find that you're always having to keep up with new rules or regulations as you're going through?
Absolutely. And that's one of the first questions I ask a promotion when I get there. What are your rules? Because some people have like 20 count out. So, or they just don't. Depends, or they're very lax there. So I always just ask the promoter, hey, you don't need to do the rules. And that's how I'll do them. And that usually is all the problems. If you don't know and nobody cares to know, I've been there before and it's a mess because you get different answers. So I just find out who's in charge. Just let me know. But,
so, and I've been thinking just lately of the difference. Oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off there.
Oh, no, you're fine. I'm very straightforward, and I know that there's always an answer. I just want to go get it.
Yep.
Is the biggest thing.
Yeah, so I've noticed from the time I was young watching wrestling, nobody noticed the referee. The biggest one back then was Danny Davis came out. He was a bad guy. 90% of the people watching wrestling then had no idea that he also wrestled with a mask on. So he had a little bit more. And to go in against somebody like Bret Hart, you better know what you're doing.
Sure.
But as we went through, referees started having different rules. NWO came along, then they had their own referee. And do you find that in the factions that you're running with, that there's anything where the ref has a different role than just being the referee? Are they giving you, okay, this is what we want you to do tonight to help this wrestler or that wrestler? Or
I haven't, but I've got a friend who works in a promotion in Michigan who does. Thank you. Yes, I called you out. So I know that there are some, but it's one of those things that it makes sense. As long as it makes sense, that's another thing I've been taught and drilled into me. If it makes sense, then there's more, like, people are more open to it. But if you're just doing it because you just want to be a bad guy or you want to wrestle without wrestling, but like when there's a storyline and there's going to be a payoff or something like that, okay, it's not an everyday occurrence or something like that then. But I have not been brought into that yet. So who knows? But as of now, I just know people who have, and I'm like, So then when I get to the back, we're not friends because zebras don't do that. Yeah. So it just adds for more fun, honestly. I love keeping the ring going in the back. It's my favorite. So, yeah.
Okay. So my next question would be, it's the day of the show. What's your process for the day of the show?
Well, I get up and then I shower. So that's number one because I always gotta wash my hair. Gotta let it dry. And I let the hair dry. So that takes a minute. And then depending on if it's breakfast or lunch, I'll go get some food because I don't usually eat after the show's completely done. So I'll usually get a nice meal before I either take the trip or whatever. So that is always different. I could drive 15 minutes and be there. And then we have the show. But sometimes I might have, if I go up to Canada, that's a 5-hour drive. So I'm getting my bags packed. I'm sending my text, making sure everything's set up, hotel, venue, everything like that. My maps is correct, got my passport, everything that I need. There's a triple check because I'm not turning around. And then gas it up, go get whatever snacks I need, lots of waters. And then I usually play either music or I listen to different podcasts, just random ones my brother will send me. And then when I get there, I do my rounds, say hello to everybody, find the locker room. That's first because zebras usually are in the corners. We like to find corner spots.
Okay.
So we go in, get our chair, get our corners, and then I'll go out because I usually don't get dressed until maybe half hour, 45 minutes before doors. I like when I'm ready, I want to be ready to go. I don't want to have anything on it. I have to go wipe any. No, I'm ready to go. So I go out to the ring, and if I don't know my matches yet, I just watch them all. If I do know my matches, then I go and specifically listen to and talk to about my matches and everything. That way I have an idea. I like to be as involved as possible. I don't have to be, but I personally prefer to be. And sometimes I don't even say anything. Sometimes, especially if I don't know what matches I have, I'll just stand there by the ring and watch everybody. Okay. And so you get an idea of kind of what you're going into. There's been so many times I'll find out the card and what matches I have 20 minutes before the show, 30 minutes before the show. And at that point, you're not going over anything. So I'm glad that I spent those 2 hours just watching everybody because I at least have a little bit of an idea. So that takes up a lot of my time when I actually get to the venue, or sitting and talking to somebody. I'm very interested in the business as a whole. So the production of it, backstage, I ask a lot of questions. So I usually will find somebody got stuck with me in a corner because I pulled them over with a question and now they're answering 20. But I really just want to get as much out of that trip as much as possible. Whether that's a night or whether that's 4 days, I'm the same way every time. And then right before doors open, I'll go over, get dressed, do my thing, get wired up. I do squats and little bitty things to get myself going. And then I go stand by Gorilla, and that is where I am until the end of the show.
All right.
And that is exactly how that goes.
Okay. Now, to build on that, favorite driving snacks? Do you have one or two?
So I love sugar and sour. So like sour gummy worms or like Sour Patch Kids or the watermelon ones are good. But then I also like the barbell protein bars.
Okay.
So there's like a couple like crunch ones and the cookie dough. So I try and do something healthy and something not because I go back and forth between what I want on the drive. But and then usually just water. Sometimes I'll get an Alani like for an energy drink, but I'm a big water drinker.
Okay.
So I pick up a lot of waters from home.
Got to stay hydrated. How about a soundtrack? Do you have a soundtrack for the road?
I love Stevie Wonder's my favorite. Okay. So if I just throw something on, it's usually him. I really like Lupe Fiasco, Kid Cudi, and then I like jazz and country. So it's hard. I love music. Yeah. So got a bunch of playlists, and they take care of it.
Yeah, you got to have a mix of everything. Our go-to for our road trips is the Hamilton soundtrack. If you're into musicals, so yeah, that's what we do in our car.
Absolutely.
And
my mom is actually a music teacher.
Your mom is, sorry, what's that?
A music teacher. So I grew up on those. Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. And do you usually find out the match? You said when you find out your match, do you usually find out when you get there to the building?
That's very rare. Very rare. Because usually we're like 6 hours-ish, sometimes more, sometimes maybe 4 before the show even starts. And a lot of things can change at that point.
Okay.
And so they usually leave the refs kind of for last because then they can just go through and they're like, all right, I want this one to have this one, this one to have this one. Sometimes that's the head referee making the assignment. Sometimes that's the promoter. It's different. Even at the same promotions, it just kind of depends who's writing everything down that day. Who won too. Sometimes the talent might come in like, hey, I need this person. They were at this match when we did this, and now we're going to bring it back to do this, and I want them to be because they know this. Okay, well, let me go change this because I already put somebody here. So a lot of times, yeah, they just kind of wait till we know the official card, put all of us on there, and usually within an hour before doors, we have a good idea of everybody. So, and if you don't, you just got to be ready.
Yeah, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, right?
Amen.
So when you're at an event and you're out there and you're asking your questions and you've got the crowds there, have you been approached by any of the crowd for an autograph, picture, a memento of some, like even a little girl coming up wants your autograph that has seen you in the ring as a ref? Or
yeah, I've had my autograph asked for in pictures. I don't have like merch or anything like that. So a lot of times I'll just sign whatever they have. Usually it's like the poster from the show from that night or something like that. But a lot of times it's just, hey, can I get a quick picture? I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That would be such, that would be such a rush, just because, like I said, the change that the ref has made now, where we're noticing everybody. You're noticing who's reffing, who reffed the match, what they did wrong.
Yep.
In our opinion, that was wrong. We're booing, we're yelling, and they're staying just stone-faced, which is just amazing to see that, people are calling you names, and it's just like a baseball game. The umpire's always wrong because so
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to have a thick skin.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, you do.
Yeah.
So
yes, you do.
So let's go. Let's build on that. Have you ever had, while you were in the ring, have you ever had comments made to you that maybe were kind of funny, but you couldn't react to them? Because I know you're the authority. You have to stay pretty stoic.
Oh yes, absolutely. And there's certain places and house shows where you feel a little more lax. Like more home promotion type deals. Like when we're coming out, if we're not on film or anything like that, if one of the little girls wants to like talk real quick or do something, or one of the guys yells something, I kind of turn around. But once we're rolling and once the game is on, nope, sorry. Should have caught me in between times because I'm working. So it's just like a regular job. You're different when you're at your job because you mean business. But when you're going to the gas station or you're headed home, you're a little more relaxed, you're a little more laid back. You can have those conversations. But you go back into your parking spot, like, all right, next time. So it's I think it's very similar.
So how do you find, like, are you traveling great distances constantly just to be the referee of a match? You don't even know what the match is, but your dedication to the sport and to yourself is that I'll come. You guys need me there for a referee. I'm coming. I'm going to do the job. I'm setting up. I'm doing whatever you need done. But, you're the one that is putting everything on the line for that. You're the one that has to free up your time between other jobs. And it's not like you're like a professional referee that's at the top of the game. You have nothing to worry about. You work many jobs and you're a hard worker and you're dedicated to the sport.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I have multiple day jobs, but the dream I'm living out is so worth it. And the jobs that I do have at home, they follow my journey. They ask about what happened and who I got to work with. And so it's fun to come back and talk to with them. So I'm very blessed to be able to do all the things that I'm able to do right now, for sure.
Very true. What was your most memorable match? If you had to name, or top three?
Ooh, probably, what's a good one? I mean, every match I've worked for Jordan Grace has just blew my mind. Okay. Let's just be honest.
Fair enough.
She's so amazing. I think I've had 3 matches, and I don't want to say all 3 of those, but truly, she's the most amazing people I've been in the ring with, and I've not been in the ring with that many times. And so it's like anytime I've been in a match that she's been a part of, I feel like we didn't really talk that much, but then when we get done, I'm like, wow, we had full conversations. Like it went so well. And I love matches where that happens, because then you know that everything, even if something didn't go as you wanted, you were able to keep talking and keep it flowing. That if something did mess up, it didn't matter because you were still letting each other know. You were still conversing. You were still talking. So those matches that I'm right now are so fluid and so easy for me to be a part of. And it's showing me how to be part of other matches outside. So like go to OVW and I'm working with the girls there and the guys there. I'm talking more, which is helping them talk more, or whatever the case may be. Like Angelica Risk is so much fun to work. And when she gets there, it doesn't matter who she gets in the ring with. Those are always fun matches as well. And again, it really boils down to just all being in there and it not being quiet. When it's quiet and you have a match, it's like, I think we did what we wanted to do. I think they liked it. But when you're in there and the whole time you're talking and it's like, even if it's just, hey, are you okay? Got nothing else to say, I'm part of it.
Right.
So I would definitely say those 2, I really, really have enjoyed their matches. And then I'm trying to think of a male match that just really sticks out. I had one back in Rocky Mountain or Lucha Libre in Alaska. It was Royce Isaacs and Johnny Denver, and that was sick because I actually got to go over the match beforehand and give some like not pointers, but like feedback on some ideas of things to do. And I was just mind blown that they cared that like I had ideas. And so then when those played out in the match, I was like, well, that was cool. So it's so fun. It's just, I've had a lot of really matches. And the thing that just, like I said, narrows it down is I just talked to them the whole time. And so, but I I could get out my notes right now and probably tell you 20 more instantly. Because I record every single.
Okay, I'm going to give you one example because I was doing my research too. It was, I believe, Abaddon and Effie at Lucha Libre and Laugh. I've heard that one was on your list anyway.
That one was so fun because we were going over how everything was going to go. And then Abaddon had this idea. She was like, so what if, like, you scare us? And I was like, yes, absolutely. I want to get in on this scare game. So then they were going over exactly how everything was going to go and then what they wanted me to do. And then we went out there and we did. And I had so much fun during that entire match. It was just, I think that was my third match with Abaddon. So, and that was by far oh my gosh. And that was my first Effie match. So, yeah, I've had a lot of matches for Lucha Libre Labs.
But what's that like when you're doing?
There, that's a fun.
Yeah, when you're doing that and you're getting to know some of these wrestlers and you see them climbing up the ladder, next thing you know, they're in TNA, they're on TV on WWE. How does that make you feel? Like, is that like, wow, or is it just, that's my friend and it's like a regular person just moving on in a workplace?
Honestly, it's both because it's like, it's cool because they are my friend and I can text them how happy I am for them. And I don't have to go to Facebook and hope they saw my post on their post. It's like that part is like, hey, they're my friend. I can tell them. But then when I see them on there, it's like I'm a fan. And then I remember I'm their friend. So it's so cool to see, especially because I'll see them on a platform a little lower than whatever one that they're trying to get to. And then when I get there, it's like, hey, I saw you working for this. I heard you say you were going to get here. Like, you got here. You're doing it. That's so odd. Like, anyway, you're part of it. Conversation before it even manifested. So it's pretty cool. Very cool.
I find that amazing because in our last conversation, you talked about who was one of my idols. I remember being probably 12, walking around yelling, "What does everybody want?" And I didn't even know what they were talking about. But Al Snow, to me, will always be, he was as big back then, and he was more of a jobber then. But to me, seeing him come out as the underdog and work his way up, and, he had the gimmick, he had the crowd into it. He was as big to me on the same level as Hulk Hogan. He was just an amazing guy to entertain me.
Yep. Oh, he's awesome. Yeah. I love talking now.
And do you see him a lot or just off and on here and there?
So OVW is about like a 3-ish hour drive for me. So I only go there about once a month, but I see him every single time I go there. He is always there. He's one of the first ones there, if not the first, and one of the last ones to leave. So I see him every single time that I am at OVW. So,
and yeah. What do you have coming up next? Like, what is your next event that's on the horizon for this year?
So I actually have Nightmare Rumble at OVW Saturday.
Okay.
Got a 30 men's rumble and a 30 women's rumble that they do every year. That was actually, fun fact, my debut / tryout with OVW last year. So this will mark my 1 year with them. And this was the show I got to debut on. So this will be pretty cool.
Oh, nice. Happy anniversary.
Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you. And then we go to Dallas, I believe, in a couple weeks with TNA. So I think I have like a week after OVW, and then, we'll be headed up to Dallas, or down to Dallas.
Yeah, down to Dallas. There you go.
And it goes there.
And it has been the rumor, are you coming to Canada in February for NCG?
That is the plan. That is the plan.
Okay.
And I hope I get Tessa versus Freya. We'll see.
That will be phenomenal.
There you go. Dan's waiting.
I just have.
I think Dan's going to sign an autograph for you when you get here. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I will. It ain't worth nothing, but you can. I'll give you 2. You can take one to Al.
I guess sign me up.
Yeah, but if you're gonna be down here, because it's not far from our studio. We if it's a possibility, we would love to have you in studio podcast. Sit down with you, pick your brain, just get to know you a little bit better, and go from there. It's so that would be phenomenal. Now, I did spend a little bit of time because Alice Lane is not the easiest person to find because there's a whole furniture company called Alice Lane.
Really? Okay.
No way.
And they have nothing but furniture. So I was like, oh, but if you go Ref Alice Lane, yes, you'll find stuff. So that's what you want to look for. Ref Alice Lane or Alice Lane Ref.
There you go. Now I know.
Yeah, so it took a little bit, and it was just a while ago that you won the award. So short a time in the business that you won the Ref Randy annual referees award for officials, which is an amazing feat after only really 2 years. Right. That's amazing that you came away with an award for your professionalism as being a ref, and like hats off to you on that. That's amazing.
Thank you. And that one actually was for last year. I think, I don't know if they've done the 2025 ones yet or 2024 yet, but that was after my first year. And then I moved back to Indiana, and I've been working with them monthly ever since I got here. But yeah, that was my first award. And I think that's the only award I've gotten so far. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? And I was like, no, really? I was like, oh my gosh, thank you guys. So that was super, super cool.
On the good side, they didn't give you a belt and make you defend it every year.
No.
No, not yet.
Really tight. I love it.
So, and as we talked before, is we're not going to see Alice Lane climb in the ring to have a women's match against anybody. But when you're in there, do you find it easier or better to work with the women or with the men that are in the ring?
Good question.
Or if it's a mixed tag team?
That's a good question. I find that the women they talk more, believe it or not. We talk a little bit more, right? So when we're in the match, if it's multiple women, it's a little harder to navigate than when I have multiple men, because they're just kind of whoever's in the ring, like that's kind of the only people I have to really talk to. But when a bunch of women are involved and they're on the out, like I had one OVW, I think it was an 8-women tag. Lord help me. I think I just went back and forth the whole time. And it was a lot, but it was so good for me because I have to be able to manage that many people. I have to be able to have control over that many people. Right. So even though the women sometimes can be more difficult to get through to because they're all talking, it also helps me learn how to get through to them because every time it comes up, I'm like, this didn't work last time, so this is what we're doing this time. Right. And so I've also learned to change my tone. I have a regular tone that I use when I'm in there, but if I mean something and they're not listening, or maybe they didn't hear me and this is very important, then I'll have like a more stern tone. And I mean, most of the time they understand, like I mean it, and whatever I asked for, whatever's needed happens. So, okay. So I've just naturally learned that that's another way I can distinguish if I need them to like really listen to me right now, or if we're just kind of talking or whatever. So that definitely has helped.
All right.
Yeah,
does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's good. No, I didn't know if there was a big difference between the two, whether it's men that are in there, if they're more business oriented and the women are more apt to have a chat with you and get a little more personal with you.
Absolutely.
So And we've discussed how the referee has changed, stuff that none of us really knew, that you're there, you're controlling the safety of everything. You're like the safety manager.
Right.
So you're grabbing their hand, make sure they're okay. You're talking to them. Everybody know the X is, this is bad. We've seen it on TV, is something's gone wrong here. Has that ever happened with you where you've had to say, you know what, this just isn't worth it, you're hurt? Because if it's men, we're just going to keep going because we're not the brightest creatures on the planet. But
No.
You didn't have to agree so quickly.
yeah.
I'm like, listen, I know I understand that, and I commend that. We can talk about it for the next 2 weeks if you are, on how tough you are. Okay, we're going to go to the back, and you guys, we're going to fix this, or whatever the case may be. And I've also had it happen where I felt that I needed to throw it up because they weren't responding or they weren't doing something. And like, I've had people come out, and then it turned into like, oh no, I'm fine. I just couldn't hear you because the crowd or whatever. And so then they've worked it to wave it off kind of thing. Or turned it into a second match and added their people. So even if we do call for it and it ends up being a false alarm, there's always something else you can do with it. So the whole like, well, I don't want to ruin that. Oh, you won't. Like, if you don't do that and they're hurt, then you're ruining them, like, and your reputation. It's so much easier and better to just throw it up, be cautious. They're going to check. If they think they can continue, they'll either find a way to make the match just naturally continue, or they just restart the match, or like I said, somebody comes out and now we've got a new match. Like, there's ways around it. But yeah, I've had both instances happen where it was very real, and I just had to tell them that this is what we're doing. And another time where they were like, maybe get a little closer so I can hear you. I'm like, gotcha. Cool. Learning experience.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but they were happy I was cautious for sure.
Yeah, because like you said, like Dan was saying, and like you mentioned as well, you're looking out for their safety as well as your own. So, I mean, wasn't malicious.
Yes, absolutely. No.
So did you pattern your style after some of the female referees who, so we see Jessica Carr in WWE, we see Daphne LaShawn, and we have Aubrey Edwards from AEW. Do you pattern your style after them, or you're just trying to you're the trailblazer, you have your own style, this is what I'm going to do?
I mean, I guess I'm a trailblazer. I never watched any of the females when I started wanting to ref. I just watched wrestling as a whole. And so my focus wasn't like the sex of the person in the ring. It was their mannerisms, what moves were more intense, what moves didn't they really care too much to go check on. It was more just the movements, the rules, and the functionality of the referee. And so that's more so I try to emulate. I don't see a huge difference in how we move, like between men and women as referees. We got to get down and count, and we got to get up and count. We got to get up and get in a corner. We do the same things. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing is like weight changes. Then, yeah, you might not be able to do things. But for the most part, we're not wrestling. We should be in the corners as much as possible. So to be able to just quickly get to where we need to be and make that happen and get back out of the way, like, that's where we shine. So I think if you can kind of hone in on that really helps for sure. But I didn't necessarily like to watch any women specifically. I just went out there and I was like, all right, how are we going to make them believe me? Because I believe me, but they don't know me yet. So let's introduce them. So,
excellent point.
I guess that's how
yeah, that's it too, is the referee becomes part of the story. So it's a character in the book that you don't really think about. But when you're out there, have you had any of them come to you and say, look, what's going to make this match good is that I'm going to take you out, and then another ref's going to come. So you're going to have to get hit on this. And are you willing to take that shot?
that has happened. And everyone that I have worked with and that has happened with, I've trusted. I've known how they work, and I've known that they're going to make sure that I'm not coming out of this harmed too awfully badly, right?
Right.
Yeah, they work with you. They're not going to bump you if you don't know how to bump. That's what the first thing they're going to ask you is, hey, do you know how to bump? Like, can you safely take care of yourself if you were to go down? If you're like, well, I can fall, and they're just like, no, never mind, because you either know how to bump or you don't. So, and that's the biggest thing. If they can talk to me and make it make sense, and I can it working out for all of us, and no one's going to leave the situation looking dumb, then sure, I have no problem with it. But if I have some questions or something needs tweaked, then either we can figure those out or we just don't meet. But yeah, if it makes sense, then I don't want to pull that away just because I don't want to fall down to the ground. Like, no, I got this. What do you need?
So is that something you learned in referee when you went through your classes? Is do they put you through that? This is what it is to take a bump? Is that part of the training?
That's day one.
Oh, wow.
They do not teach you, except you learn how to get in the ring. Because there's certain ways to get in the ring. You don't just get in there. You need to wipe your feet off, make sure you got the right shoes and things of that nature. There's some schools where you have to enter the rope over the ring over the top rope. You can't go in between the ropes. You have to go over. And they don't care how you get over, but if you respect that ring, you will get in over the top rope. So it kind of depends, you know. It's different everywhere you go, but it's cool to see how things are done differently and then what things stay the same. Because there is room for flexibility in some areas and then just not in some. I'm like, this is why we do it this way. Like, I understand you guys are wanting to like branch out and be different, but this is not the place to do that.
Fair. Okay, fair enough.
Right?
So you mentioned that you're on your way to Dallas. You're in, Ohio. You're also in, you're in Indiana right now. Have you ever had a chance to work overseas?
No, I have not done that yet.
Okay.
That's on the list, though.
Oh yeah,
One
there's still time.
Plenty of time. I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna be like, "Hey guys, I did."
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's it. Watch me.
Yeah,
Just
that'll
watch
be a whole different podcast.
Hey, yeah. I'm like, look, we gotta talk.
Yeah, Alice overseas. That's what it'll be.
That's it. Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
We can come up with all kinds of names. So so you're in Indiana, like you said. Have you gone? We're just going to switch off. So we're going to go with spare time. Have you been to an Indiana Fever game at all? Anything like that?
Not recently, but I did growing up a lot. Fever, Pacers. We kind of did a lot growing up.
Okay.
Because I've been here almost my whole life. I just have moved a lot of places because I do like to go and travel and see the world, but I usually come back.
Okay.
So we've been to those Colts games. We're big baseball fans, though. So Cubs fans, we go to a lot of Cubs games.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yep. We're the same at my house anyways. We're baseball. We did go and see the Fever, and we went in. My wife was thinking, oh, okay, this Caitlin Clark, she may be a little overrated. But when we left, all three of us, we were believers. She's the real deal.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Just insane. But so that's the things that you're doing outside of the ring, eh? All right. Yeah,
Yes.
baseball, football. The Royal Rumble is going to be in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium.
And then WrestleMania the next year. I'm so pumped.
Crazy. And to have it that close to your house too, or that, your area anyways.
I mean, they might need an extra or something. I might know a girl. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's right.
I keep sending messages to Triple H. He hasn't answered yet, but if he does, I will let him know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got you.
Because I send them every day, too.
Yeah.
Hey, one day. He'll answer one of us.
Yeah.
There's lots of time.
It may just be out of anger, but he might answer me eventually. So
if you want to give out your phone number at the end, feel free. We're going to give out ours. So.
Yeah. So going through, and this is something that I noticed just being involved with trying to help promote NCG wrestling here, was that I went into NCG expecting a small hick town wrestling and came out with a WWE feeling, which is that something that you find as being in there with them, is that they're underrated as to what they can do, their skill sets, the strength and the size of these guys. And one of the big things, and like Bobby Clancy, he's been on our show. We've had Soul Taker on. We had Shogun. The man is a massive, massive tank. You got Bobby, who he's short, but he's like 3 feet wide.
he's
yeah. So I just wondered, like, for you, you're in there and you're with them. Do you find that it's not long and the crowd is into this because they've forgotten that this, I didn't even know this guy, but now I love to hate him, or I love to love him, or like that relationship.
Yes, there's feeling. And that's what a lot of promotions miss out on. Is the fans leave and they're not sure how. It's cool. The NCG, you feel something with every match. And if you don't even know what to feel, they'll come out and tell you how to feel. They'll prep you. They'll get you. But that's what the 80% of fans need. They don't want to just yay and boo. They want to be a part of it and involved as well. They're just not sure how to.
Yeah.
And that's something the NCG is showing them exactly how to and encouraging it. So, that's one that's just going to take off. Like, it's an amazing promotion for sure. Yes. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. So you're looking at coming to NCG. We're going to be at NCG.
February 22nd.
February 22nd. So
yes,
we'll have our tickets ready to go as it gets closer. Now they're saying the Godfather's supposed to be there.
Tessa Blanchard as well.
So when you're saying, okay, I'm going to come and I'm going to be a ref here, are you looking at who's on the card, or are you just looking at where do I fit on that card?
It's more so where I'm going to be and how, like, if I'm really actually needed. Yeah, there's been some shows where I go and I'm like, well, they had like 5 refs, 6 refs. I kind of just watch the show at that point. And I definitely don't mind watching shows, but if that's the case, then I'm about to be a fan and get out there and I'm making noise. I'm not standing in the back just for my match to come up.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's just a little different when you have like that side of it. But I don't know.
All right.
So, favorite wrestler, male or female?
Mick Foley.
Mick Foley?
Mick Foley is awesome. But it's hard. It's so hard for me. Mick Foley is always number one just because the man's like 500 people in one. Like, how did he? Amazing. And this is a fun Mick Foley story. I met him at the Square Circle Expo like 5 months after I started training. And I was like freaking out. I gotta look at a picture. I gotta go to a picture. So you pay and you can do the regular picture, and you can either choose Mankind or Dude Love. And so I was like, oh, Dude Love for sure. He said, thank you. He said, no one's choosing Dude Love. All day I've had to be Mankind. He's like, I've been waiting for somebody. So we got a really cool picture. And then when he was at OVW at the beginning of the year, I showed it to him, and he was like, that's pretty cool. So that was my big one. Like, if I meet Steve Austin, that one I will probably fall over. He'll probably just like walk away and I'll miss an opportunity. But yeah, he's up there for sure.
And we already know your favorite is Animal from Legion of Doom.
Always going to be Animal from Legion of Doom. Always, always, always. And my second choice was Hawk from the Legion of Doom. So
Keeping it in the family.
That's what got me into wrestling, was seeing those magazines and thinking there's actually somebody out there that can do that, can get a mohawk, can get a reverse, and walk through an airport, and nobody's going to say nothing. That was it. It was that they were that tough.
He's just a giant man.
Yes.
He had the size on his side anyway.
Oh, yeah. The power, the sheer power, and just amazing skill set. And if you sat and watched, because they always said they were such barbarian wrestlers, but if you sat and watched, there was a story they were telling. And they were just hitting the guy so hard that you might have missed that part of the story. But they were brawlers. Yeah, that happens. And that happened like with Shogun. I met Shogun, very nice man, talked to him, did a podcast with him, had a great time. Met him at there. Now he's 3 times bigger than he looked on the phone. And just watching the sheer power and the skill of the man elevates him to a whole different level.
Yeah, the way he was just throwing them around so easily, too.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And the control they have over their bodies as well as other people's bodies, it's like, that's just amazing. I stand in the corner and it still just shocks me. Like, I'm like, dang, I'm going to go check on that guy. That one hurt.
Yeah.
So I just have a quick Mick Foley story. I went to Mick Foley signing, and he was in there, and the lineup was taking forever. But it wasn't until I got to see him that I realized he was taking a moment with everybody who was there. And that's something that I appreciate. If you listen to the show, you know, I say it's important for the kids. And he was, if he didn't sign mine, that was okay. But he was talking with everybody, and he personalized the pictures that he had. And so when I get up there, he said, "Oh, hey, I have a proposition for you." Okay, what's that? He said, "Oh, if you give me that pen, because every time I go, I bring my own Sharpies, because you never know, I may need to sign something." So I bring my own. And he says, "Oh, well, if you give me that pen, I'll let you take any picture that you want." Well, it's Hell in the Cell from 1998. It's the 20th anniversary. So I said, "Okay, I got to go with that one." And he said, "Oh, okay. Well, what do I do with the pen?" And I said, "Oh, you can have it. It belongs to my wife." And he says, "Oh, okay, here. We'll do a funny story." So he takes the pen and he says, "Oh, what's her name?" "Oh, it's Dawn, D-A-W-N." So he's like, "Dear Dawn, thanks for the pen, Mick Foley." And I get home and I show her the picture, and what does she say? "You had more. Why didn't you give him more?" I was like, hey, he caught me off guard. But it was so cool. And then he says, "Oh, do you want to take a picture with the belt?" And I said, I do, because he had his own there. And it was a lot heavier than I thought it was. To hold it, to actually hold it. I seem small right now, but I'm not a small person when I'm standing up. And that thing was probably 14 to 16 pounds. But it was nice to see him taking time with everybody and, personalize it and just giving them, a moment of his time, right? So that's my Mick Foley story right there.
That's a good one. He's awesome.
Very true. Do you want to do Oh, You Didn't Know?
Oh, I'm betting that we didn't know a lot of what she knows.
Okay.
From the referee point of view.
All right.
Which was one of the things what we do is "Oh, you didn't know?" And we give facts on what the average wrestling fan probably never knew. And one of them was that we had discussed the safety part of it, where you're grabbing their hand. If they're not squeezing back, there could be a problem. And that was one of the ones that we gave as "Oh, you didn't know." So if there's anything that Alice Lane knows that we don't know, we would love to hear it.
All right. Are you going to go next?
Well, let's see. Aside from being the realest, I would say, person in the ring, I mean, safety is like our number one thing. That's why we're there. So when, like back home, my family, nobody here is wrestling fans. So I was like, "Oh, it's so fake," and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, excuse me. But what I do is extremely real. And the people that I take care of are doing things that you would never do in your life. And they're things that are harming them. So what I'm doing is actually a real thing. And then they like to have that conversation. But I would say, a lot of, like with the vets, like they don't have to communicate and talk as much. So sometimes, and I don't know if this is what you're looking for, but this is one that just come to my mind and it makes me laugh. Sometimes they're asking me like, hey, like I think they're dying, right? I'm truly concerned. I'm down there. I'm ready. So I'm there for them. And they're like, do you think we can get some chicken after this? And I'm like, hey, do you need to get the what is going? Oh man, I just Wendy's. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no! Like this is not what I came in here for. And it's always the guys that go in there and have done this a million times that they're trying to get the ref to break. And I don't know how many times we'll get to the back and they'll be like, you laughed out there. And I'm like, that doesn't count. That's not fair. So like getting the ref to break character is something a lot of wrestlers try to do. And when you have a ref does not break character, you get it a lot. But the first time that happened, it got me. And I was like, never again. And I've been like so honed. But so sometimes like they may truly just be saying the most nonsensical thing to the ref. And our heart was beating so fast because we thought the match was over. And you're just like, you're done. You won in the match after that. You're like, go get your chicken. I'm done. Ring the bell.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Mine, and I can follow off of what she was saying because I've watched a lot where they've said one of the worst for trying to break the ref was Owen Hart, to the point where he would untie the referee's shoe without him knowing and say, your shoe's untied. The ref's got to get down there and get her tied up. And then he'd start laughing in a different position. And he'd say, your shoe's untied. Well, now the other one is. And then he would tell somebody, and he would be in there with someone like The Undertaker.
Yeah.
And he would come up with 18 different moves. This is what we're going to do. And then he'd come off with like a back body drop. And it was just to see who he could break.
Uh-huh.
And that just shows like the real life of it is this is a real person.
Right.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Real.
Yeah.
That's
real. But I always make it more fun. I'm just like, okay, you're fine. Get up. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then I know on that level where they feel comfortable with me in the ring that we can have those conversations too. And they can like mess with me when I'm freaking out. But it's fine. I'll forgive them one day.
There you go. Okay, mine really quickly is in 1992, Roddy Piper, he debuted a single in the UK. So in the United Kingdom, Roddy Piper, he sang a song and it was titled "I'm Your Man." You can go on YouTube and find it. We may put it up on our Facebook page later on today. Yeah, we'll see. It's an interesting watch, anyways. I didn't know that until just recently, so I'm gonna watch the rest of it and see how it goes. I didn't see the whole thing yet, but there's still time. So that's my you didn't know.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
I'm gonna check that.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah. So do you find in your spare time that you're watching a lot of wrestling matches so that you're familiar with certain people, or is that just experience of being in the ring with them?
No, I definitely watch. I watch back all my stuff too. I watch back every single thing I do, and then if I know I've got some shows coming up, and it's something I haven't worked with, I kind of go have an idea, just watch a match or two, or like some clips or something, just so I have an idea. Like, are they a high flyer? Are they a strongman? Like, what kind of style are they doing? What's their finishing move? I'd like to know that in case they do that, because that's something I try to respect as much as possible. But I think more times than not, I watch it outside of it just so that I'm more comfortable when it comes time and I walk through those doors. I'm like, I know who I'm walking into. I know what I'm walking into. Like, I'm ready for the conversations. So.
Do you have sorry, go ahead.
No, you do.
Do you have a dream match that you could referee any match? Who you putting in the ring?
Ever my dream match? That's so hard. I mean, I would love to ref Cody Rhodes. Like, I think I'd cry if I ever ref Cody Rhodes.
Cody versus Jordan Grace, maybe? I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Now we're talking.
That's a dream. That's a real dream match, right? Or a nightmare match, whatever.
But right now, probably the Hardys, just because I did that Bound for Glory ladder match they did, but I haven't gotten to do like a one-on-one with them. So like one that's in my hopefully near future would be the Hardys, because I'll be like, well, this is awesome.
Nice.
So yeah.
Nice.
So out of
Good question though.
because you go around to all the different promotions all over, is there anyone that you've gone to and you thought, you know, that guy was WWE, he was the top of the game, and he's actually a jerk? Because that's an experience I've had with guys, and I've tried not to call them out, but just somebody that, you know what, after meeting them, the respect wasn't there that I had before I met them.
Don't get yourself
I'm trying
in
to think of. I was like, I've had good experiences with people, and I'm also not around long enough to see, I guess, the bad afterward. Like, hey, very nice to meet you, ask a couple questions and keep it moving. And the people that I have gone up to have given me the time of day, whether it was like 5 seconds or 5 minutes. But I personally, I don't know. But again, I haven't even done this for 2 years. So if you ask me in a year, I might have a list.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a deal.
Again, I'm very, like, OVW, TNA is where I've spent a lot of my time. And the people that have come in and out that have been veterans or anything like that, they've been very helpful. I mean, we had Mickie James there for a little bit. That was amazing.
Right.
That
Her
was
just getting for advice to the women. Mick Foley was there helping all the guys. They've all been cool. So, but I know it happens. Great. I've heard it. I have people around me that will be like, I wouldn't do that, or I wouldn't go talk to that person, or whatever the case may be. And so I tend to listen to them, because I'm like, well, you've steered me right this long. Like, if you don't think it's worth it, I'm just not going to. So
what's up for Alice Lane in 2025? What is the main goal?
WWE, baby. We want to make it to the E.
Okay.
But really getting really, really toned in on the things that, like, the small little details that I can sharpen up, and getting as many reps as possible. Because one thing people forget is that, like, wrestlers go one. They have one match. That's it. We get 3 to 4 usually a card. So I've got chances to fix something or try something or whatever the case may be to hopefully make for a better match my next one. Like, all the way down to, like, how I call for the belt. Like, I'm best with that matches. How I hold belts, like, these types of things. And so, like, when I watch myself back, I see small things now. And so 2025 is just making sure that by the end of it, I don't see that small stuff anymore. And I fixed it all. And then I think from there, it's just like I need somebody else to tell me what to, like, focus on, because I myself feel like I've done what I can.
Right.
So that means 2026, we'll see Alice Lane at WrestleMania in the ring.
In her backyard,
reffing,
too. In her backyard.
And that's why I'm saying it's in her backyard. So we'll have her reffing the main event of WrestleMania.
It's heavy repping on WrestleMania. We can manifest that. Maybe it's the main event, but definitely WrestleMania 2026. I'm here with it.
That'll be another mention of mine to Triple H when he talks to me.
As soon as he calls?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Keep it going.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, we're going to keep her going. And, like, it has been phenomenal to have you on here. And just take the time to learn a little bit about really what is in wrestling. To me, would be the unsung hero, because other than the striped shirt, nobody really pays attention. But there's so much, if you do pay attention, there's so much going on. There's so much responsibility and they play such a huge part of that match, other than 1, 2, 3, and that's what every person in that crowd thinks. I could be a ref. No, you can't. No, you can't.
It's not the same. No, you're
Try
absolutely right.
though. We'll do our best to help you. It's hard though.
Yeah. So
we are going with that. We're going to get out of here.
Yeah,
Do you have any plugs that you want to give your socials? Anything coming up?
My Instagram is Ref Alice Lane, and on Facebook I'm just Alice Lane. That's really the only two that I'm using.
Okay.
OBW, January 4th, Nightmare Rumble in Louisville, and then
This Saturday.
Yes, this Saturday. I know I gotta get ready. Start running. And then I'm in Dallas the second week of January for TNA. I think it's like the 15th or 16th.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So again,
and then the big one is February, coming to Canada.
27th.
NCG.
22nd. She's calling.
That's right.
Already.
So
Coming from Orlando.
Yep.
Because we've got TNA in Orlando.
Oh, nice. All right.
So
Good.
yeah, we'll be waiting. We'll even have Alice Lane signs in the crowd.
Hey, I don't think I've seen one of those before.
Okay, he'll make the sign. I'll bring the Sharpies.
Yeah.
That's how it'll work.
So
I know you got the Sharpies.
yeah.
That's it. So with that,
thank you very much. We appreciate having you on so much. It's just amazing. And you continue on like you are, and we have no doubt that in the next couple of years we're going to see Alice Lane on TV in a WWE ring and just commanding authority out there.
That's it.
Authority.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you guys so much. Talk soon.
Thank you for having us, or thank you for being with us. And with that, we're just going to say really quickly, if you want to take us with you on your next road trip, you can do so with the CKRT Border City Radio app, available on the App Store as well as the Google Play Store. And if you want to drop us an email, you can send us an email at ckrtbordercityradio@gmail.com. We are also at Wrestling Roundup JD@gmail.com. You can give us a call and leave us a message at 226-759-8280. So thanks for tuning into the Wrestling Roundup. We hope you enjoyed diving into the world of suplexes and smackdowns with us this week.
And the referee's point of view.
Yes, that's right. So you join us next week, same time, same ring. So for special guest referee, Miss Alice Lane, I'm Jay, he's Dan.
That's
and
it.
we'll see you when we look at you.
Thank you.